Welcome, my sons and daughters. My name is Elder George. I'm Chief of Men's Action to Rebuild Society, an organization devoted to fostering a more natural way of life for humankind. Today's video is titled Ethics, Morals, and Stuff Like That. The topic of today's video, Ethics, Morals, and Stuff Like That, was motivated by an article I read in Newsweek magazine by well-known author Fareed Zakaria. The article was titled The Communist Manifesto, which he had subtitled Greed is Good to a Point. Greed is good to a point. And I'm going to read to you just one little excerpt from one little sentence from it, which provides the basis for this video today. Bear with me. He states, what we are experiencing, this is in America and in the world, what we are experiencing is not a crisis of capitalism. It is a crisis of finance, of democracy, of globalization, and ultimately of ethics. Now, my feeling is to lump ethics into the same pot as globalization, finance, and democracy is to not understand where ethics comes from. Furthermore, for a proponent of greed is good, now that was the subtitle, greed is good to a point, to express a concern for a crisis of ethics indicates to me a complete lack of understanding of ethics. Ethics are codes of conduct from which moral behavior evolves. Men establish ethics. Men who have an understanding of the necessity of propagating and preserving the species while on the spiritual path establish ethics. There's no other place for ethics to come from. Ethics do not come from universities. Ethics do not come from scholars. And most certainly ethics do not come from the government. In fact, the government is responsible for the deterioration of ethics. Without men, there are no ethics. Since we now live in a genderless society, we have an environment that does not contain any ethics. A quality that derives from ethics, called trust, received attention from Bert Ross, former mayor of Fort Lee, New Jersey. He was one of the plaintiffs that spoke at the Bernie Madoff sentencing hearing, and he pointed out that the major effect of the financial fraud was the destruction of public trust, an unseen, intangible, that derives from ethics. On the same weekend that I read Zakaria's article and saw the Bert Ross interview, I also saw on television, on Meet the Press, a concern for national values. Now get this, ethics, trust, values. They're disappearing from the American scene. The people are getting nervous about that. People are concerned about the lack of non-materialistic values of this society and the moral decay and confusion it creates. A report on the internet also this past weekend indicated that an increasing proportion of our youth feel they will die young. An increasing proportion of our youth feel that they will die young. And statistics have found over the years that youth who feel that way about themselves have a 7 times more likelihood of contracting AIDS or being deeply involved with recreational drugs or other issues detrimental to themselves than youth who have a positive outlook and a positive expectation of their lives. Our youth have no purpose. They have no vision. They're perishing. You know, Solomon said, a nation without vision shall perish. Our culture is perishing. Men make ethics. Men build organizations. Men make families. That's what men do. The Western genderless culture has neutered the male, which resulted in the destruction of the family, the breakdown of society, and the growth of government in an attempt to fill in the void, or maybe just in an attempt to really control our lives. There's only one way for society to right itself. Men must assert their masculinity and re-establish the ethics necessary to rebuild the family and sustain it, and then get government out of our private lives. If you want to learn more about this, tune in to mensaction.net. That's MENSACTION.net. And let me hear from you. Until then, I send you my love. Be well.